The question I wanted to ask is, what's like the most crazy or interesting thing that people are actually doing with the Toit platform right now?
Most crazy or interesting thing. I think the most crazy thing that we're seeing people using Toy for is really when they have when they're in sort of a disruptive field like autonomous vehicles or sort of controlling a sophisticated biological process. When they come from that and they're in a complex, difficult environment, and they think about how do we monitor and measure and work with that from a small computer that we can add to it. That's where we fit in, and that's where we see ourselves being sort of glued onto or attached to something that is even in its own right really, really crazy, right? So like autonomous vehicles, they need to be tracked over time. Like telematics for that is definitely like a hot topic, right? And when we see people coming to us to get us to sort of help them get like best in class telematics for that space, it is kind of crazy, right? I have a colleague here who's building like a full blown drone based on based on Toit as well, controlling all the motors and all the rotors and everything else. And we're starting to see interest in that kind of thing, right? Because it's a complex thing with gyros and stabilizers and making all that work. And it's all software today, right? And I think we just really fit well in that. So I think honestly, maybe the craziest thing I've seen so far is a guy running scared around in his living room because the drone that he wrote the code for is getting out of control. Like that is kind of crazy and scary, but it's also fun.
So did he live stream himself to you to see that, or are you actually in his house when this
uh,
is going on?
we went there. We had a small outing, and we went there, and suddenly he wanted to demonstrate it, and it was like you could just tell the excitement around this thing with motors and rotors and everything that you have to be a little bit careful with these things. But it's and it was inside his house as well, so I guess he also cared about his furniture. But those are kind of crazy things that we see, right? Often people start with something relatively straightforward. They want to monitor and measure something, and they want to get the data out, and they want it to be completely reliable. So they come to us because they need to trust someone to deliver the foundation for just getting this very critical data from like the setting they're in and out. But I think once they have that, some of these ideas just pop up and people start doing like crazy things with it, right? He posted a video on, I think, on Reddit with part of it where he's showing like one of the stabilizers on a small Lego man and how it sort of all works, and it's like a 30-second thing. And then I think a few people got excited about that in the I think in the ESP32 Reddit community. I mean, it's just fun little things, right? So crazy and hardware sort of in this space, it's not a common combination. So I think anything we see there where people are pushing the envelope and doing crazy things is a healthy sign that people are starting to toy, experiment, innovate. And before something like Toit was a possibility, people would just be extremely conservative on anything that they put on these devices because they didn't feel like getting in trouble if they break the device and never could reach it again. They just didn't want to try things out. So I mean, another crazy thing that we see people do is just be completely um, sure that updating the firmware on all the devices that are in the middle of the sea is just going to work because we take care of that. In some sense, that feels like, at least to them, like crazy if they look back at what they did before, right? We have companies where the entire company would like hold their collective breaths when they send out the half year update because like they never like they tested it and they were quite sure that it worked, but if it didn't, they were in trouble, right? And it's so for them, it probably feels crazy that now they can push new code every week, just like the rest of us do in a web setting or in a mobile setting, right? It's like welcome to the modern world.